Hold on, I can hear in my headset.
Oh, okay.
You hear me?
I can.
What's happening?
So I'm in the web. Oh, I see Leslie. Okay. I'm promoting to panelists.
Okay, yeah. So the webinar, you turn the broadcast on, you promote the host to.
Oh, maybe it was am I supposed to promote broadcast?
Not promote it, but you're supposed to open the broadcast.
Ah, that's why. That's what I was doing wrong. Okay, they're in. Thank you. No. Okay, thank you, Deborah. Okay, bye. Okay, can you ladies hear me? I cannot hear you. You might want to turn on your video and...
I'm not seeing any opportunity to turn on my camera.
Here, I just asked you to start video. Let's see if you
Okay.
do that.
All right.
Oh, wonderful. Hi, Sandy.
Hello. Now listen, I need you to see just for a minute.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Love, love, love. We got to show that a little later.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll just lift part of my shirt up.
Yeah, just I have my WomanUP swag too. You see?
Yes, you do.
Hey.
I didn't put that on because it's gold and this is silver. I didn't want to mix the two.
Oh yeah, you don't want to clash.
No, I
totally,
don't need to.
Totally. So let me see what's up with Leslie.
Oh, now just a second. I just clicked something and you're not here anymore.
What? It's probably, if you want to go to the front, up to the top right, it says speaker view or gallery view. I'm in gallery view.
I'm not seeing any of that on this. Oh my gosh. Here's my camera. All right, I'm going to hit gallery view too.
Yeah, I like seeing the three of us. And I'm not sure. Oh, there she is.
Hi, Leslie.
Oh, look at that. I actually love it.
Oh, wait. Hi.
Hi.
Oh my God, when it rains, it pours. Just one question. Should I put this in a ponytail?
No, I was just saying I love it. It's wild and free.
It's kind of semi-wet here.
Well, I can't believe how your hair has grown.
I know, right?
Oh my gosh.
You can tell I'm taking my quarantine very seriously.
You know
well,
what,
I'm sitting on my couch at home. I've been working from home most of the time.
Yeah.
Oh, us too. But my hair is so long, and split ends that I couldn't handle it anymore. So our hairdresser, he's coming to my stepmom's house and he's going to cut all of our hair tomorrow.
Oh,
with
wow.
masks. And you know,
Haircuts.
I can't handle it anymore. It's been 6 months.
Yeah.
It's really bad. Okay. So we're 2 o'clock. I'll give you the run of the show real quick. So I will log in. It takes a minute. I'll open the broadcast. I'll give an update. And it's all going to be around WomanUP. Have you bought your ticket? You know, we have a swag kit, VIP swag kit, et cetera, et cetera. Don't forget your ticket. And then Leslie, what do you want to give an update on? Do you have a quick economic update? Do you want to share any words of wisdom? Okay. Yeah. All right. So Leslie will do that. And then we'll get into the interview with you, Sandy.
Okay.
So Leslie, are you okay? Do you have the Google Sheet? So she'll introduce you.
But you're going to start with you're going to welcome everybody.
I'll welcome everybody, but right after your economic update, I think you just go right into, and now we have our special guest, Sandy, and, you know, a realtor in Fresno-Clovis area for 46 years, you know, however you want to introduce Sandy, but it's all there. And then just start with the first question, and then I'll ask, you know, opportunity, you'll ask challenges, switch, and we'll just switch off between asking. All set? All right.
Sounds good.
Let's do this. I'm gonna go live. Smile, ladies. Takes a minute.
Leslie, I have my Leslie glasses too.
Oh, don't you look great? I think our IQs just went up 20 points.
That's right.
That's what
But at home, I'm close enough to the screen. I really don't need them, so.
Going, it's going.
I think we're good.
All right, we are live, ladies. Welcome, welcome. Happy Woman Up Wednesday, Facebook Live, Wisdom with Sandy Darling today. We're so excited, and you'll hear more about Sandy in a minute. But I do want to give a quick update from my end, and it's all about Woman Up. So have you got your ticket? Wait, I guess I should check and see if we're, like, people are listening. So hold on one second. I'm used to Deborah doing this. I know you'll all forgive me.
You do, Sarah. We know we're in the best hands.
That's right.
I'm just jumping right in because I'm excited to talk to you, Sandy. But just give me a second. I think we're live. It's not showing up on my.
It says on my recording live on Facebook.
All right. Yes. Pat Vealing is here. Yvette Sloan. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Okay. Now I'll get started. We have a Woman Up update. So I want you to buy your ticket. We are going into a virtual experience in Verbella. It is, you saw the video that Deborah shared with you last week, and we're really excited about it. We just had a Woman Up team meeting inside Verbella, and honestly, it felt like we were in person because we talked over each other and laughed together and chimed in, and it didn't feel like a Zoom experience. So it was really lovely, and we're really excited about having our Woman Up virtual event 2020 in Verbella. And so we still have VIP swag kits left. We have about 50. So and once we hit that mark, that's it, we're done. So make sure to get your VIP swag kit and visit IamWomanUp.com to get your ticket. And with that, my update is done. So Leslie, I know you have an economic update to share, and then you'll introduce our wonderful guest.
And I can't wait to do that. Just a couple of highlights from what's going on in the economy right now. And the first thing I want to mention, and I'm sure this isn't news to anyone here, but there is a big debate going on the Capitol about what the next phase of relief is going to look like. The House passed their HEROES Act on March 15th. And on Monday, the Senate came out with their HEALS Act. And it is a much narrower, it's about a $1 trillion price tag as opposed to $3.5 trillion. So much narrower, not nearly as expansive as the House proposal, and they have until they recess on August 7th. So there seems to be not 100%, but a consensus that something needs to happen because the recovery pandemic experience is going on longer than expected and is a little bit choppier. Now, so we've got that, and then I do want to alert you to the big news tomorrow is going to be the GDP number, the preliminary first number that we get for the second quarter. I want to warn everybody that it's likely to be a pretty ugly number, between a 25 and 35% quarter to quarter drop. So we're expecting that. It really kind of brackets the biggest shutdown, at least so far, right? The future is a little bit more uncertain. And then finally, just in terms of the housing market has been, I don't want to say robust, but it's been strong. You know, the buyers have come out of whatever COVID coma uncertainty they were feeling, and they're looking at absolutely rock bottom rates, tremendous amount of pent-up demand, wanting to make things happen and needing a supply of housing that, you know, we've got active listings down 44% from where they were a year ago. And it actually started even before the pandemic, but it has really expanded. So you've got buyers ready to go, and you have sellers more reluctant, staying put. It's partly COVID and maybe partly so many options going forward, right? With work from home, work from anywhere. Gee, what can I do? I've got to do some research. So we've talked about this mismatch between demand and supply for a long, long time, and it has just become exacerbated, I would say, over the last few months. So that is my brief economic update, because I want to really not miss a minute of talking to one of my all-time favorite people in the industry, and that
right back
is
at you.
Sandy Darling. And I've known Sandy a long, long time, and particularly on strategic planning for many years. She was just such a voice of, look, guys, here's what's happening in the market. This is my experience. Here's what you need to look at. No, you don't get that. Get this. And just said with love always, you know, but just very direct and very just helpful for really all of us, kind of like a beacon of understanding. So I guess I need to wait. Hold on just a minute. I'm very organized here. I want to do a formal introduction, and then we'll let Sandy take it away. So Sandy is in the Fresno-Clovis area, which is in the central part of California. It's the one region that's really outperformed the rest of the state over the last couple of months. So that's been a real positive. I don't want to say how many years, but over 40 years she's been very active in the business. She manages about 100 agents and has a female-led brokerage, or female-centric, or all-female. She's going to have to update me on that. But she was WomanUP before there ever was WomanUP. I just want to say that about Sandy and her all-woman office. So with that, Sandy, it's so wonderful to see you, and I'd really like you to spend some time, if you want to expand on the introduction, and also just tell us how you're doing. How are things going?
Things are going great. It's been a challenge, of course, because we're in new territory. Whoever of us would have dreamt that we would be dealing with this kind of a situation in our environment, in our marketplace at this time or at any time. So it's been a real challenge, but it's been innovating. I mean, I have, it re-energizes you when you have to come up with creative solutions to new problems that you've never dealt with before. And it's been 47 years, and in those years, I've seen a lot of changes and a lot of things come and go. But this one takes the cake. It really does. So I'll tell you.
Why do you think your area is doing like better than everybody else? Like, what are the kind of components there?
I think because we're more affordable, for one thing. You know, our median price right now, which has gone up considerably, is at about $323 right now. Whereas so many other parts of the state are in the $900 million mark, we're still an affordable area. So when we talk about the fact that there's a 30% unemployment rate, what we have to remember is that means that there's a 70% employment rate.
Right.
And we have a much higher affordability factor in our area. Even though wages haven't kept up with the appreciation, we still have a more affordable community than many. And so that's helped us greatly.
Are you experiencing the migration from the coasts into the Central Valley? Have you experienced that yourself?
We're seeing some of that, but a lot of the movement we're watching is local. And I think, you know, something that came to me as we were sheltered in place and have been for such a long time is that home means more than ever before. Right. And 100%. That's sort of my little mantra. And because that's the case, I think a lot of people are realizing that they need a different layout or a different kind of space in their homes. And I think we're seeing some movement in our marketplace just because of that. In addition to, of course, some just strictly pent-up demand. But right now in Fresno, we're kind of looking at a 3.5 week supply of inventory. That's how compressed our market has become.
Just when you think it can't get any tighter, right, Sarah?
Exactly.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I
Yep.
guess that's a huge opportunity. I love that you're focused in on the home, right? And what an amazing opportunity for the realtor profession to really hone in on the fact that home is so important right now.
Exactly. And I think our agents recognize that and are dealing with it.
Well, I think you drive it home to them, right? You drive it home. You drive it home to them every day. So they are blessed with a wonderful leader.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes. And I got to know you through SPF as well. And then through WomanUP. And
Right.
you were at our very first inaugural WomanUP in 2017. And as Leslie said, you've been a WomanUP leader way before WomanUP had a name. So thank you. I echo Leslie's comments on that.
Well, thanks.
What is, so home is definitely a huge opportunity for those who are, have the opportunity to achieve home ownership. What are other opportunities, what are the biggest opportunities you see for leaders right now in the real estate space?
Well, I'll tell you, I kind of had to do some soul searching when this whole thing started about, okay, what are my responsibilities now to our agents? And I came up with really 3 key things that I think are opportunities for all leaders during this time. And the first one was engage. In other words, we've just got to engage with our people to have them feel not isolated. And then the second one was inform, because there's been a lot of new information coming out from CAR, new forms, new procedures. OSHA is involved now in our business and how we can conduct it. And so keeping our agents properly informed so that they're not, so that they're in compliance with what needs to happen is really important. And then the third part of that is to encourage. And I think the reason for that is that, you know, during a time that's so unsettling and so uncertain for a lot of people, for our agents to feel encouraged that, number one, this is temporary, and number two, there are ways to do business under these circumstances. You have to be a little more creative. You have to work a little differently than you used to, but it can be done, and it is being done. And so those are the 3 things that I feel I've wanted to concentrate on here in our market, in our company.
You know, those are so good. Engage, inform, and encourage. And I think that would also sum up what we've been trying to do on the CAR side. I know that you've been on the weekly Friday meetings, and I had a chance to talk to your association a couple of days ago. So it's kind of like an over-communicate environment, just to make up for the fact that we can see each other, but we can't really feel or interact with each other. So I think that's really excellent advice.
Well, thanks.
What are some of the challenges that you've had maybe implementing that, and just kind of looking back over the first few months? Because I remember when this first started, you know, we were all working like 14-hour days going, what's happening, you know?
Well, and we started, I now have, you know, for 20 years I had my all-woman office, and now we've merged with another one of our company offices. So we now have 100 agents, and I have a manager partner in the office, which has been wonderful because he's far more techie than I am. So he can fill in some blank spaces that I can't handle. And then I have some experience that he doesn't have. So it's been a really great partnership for our office. But I think one of the challenges— Is it a little
bit different going to that?
It is.
Having your all-female
Well,
situation?
my girls are still all around me in the office. They're still right there, which is wonderful. But have learned and enjoy embracing our entire office because we've got some wonderful agents throughout our whole 100-agent office. But what I started seeing initially, initially we were having meetings like every day. Every day we were having a Google Hangout or a Zoom meeting.
Right.
And I started noticing the participation level at the meetings. For one thing, I think we were overcompensating and we finally decided to back that off a little. But what I also noticed was that some of the agents were participating in that way and getting on these meetings, but I noticed other agents were not. So I found that the outreach needed to be more than just a Google Hangout or a Zoom meeting. It required picking up the phone and calling a person individually to hear the sound of their voice, to hear the tone in their voice, to make sure they're feeling okay, to personally reach out to them. And I feel like one of the challenges was making sure that everybody felt included, whether or not they were interested in attending the meetings. And that's been a big challenge, but it's been an important thing to do and very worthwhile.
That's such good advice, because you're right. There's always on a group Zoom some quiet ones, and you don't quite know if they're good or not, or what the issues are. And I think that's kind of good advice for everyone, to just have an eye out for the people that might be just not able to participate in that platform that way.
Right. Well, and here's the other thing. I've noticed that for the most part, most of these meetings are not as interactive as, let's say, our live sales meetings. Because at the sales meeting, somebody'd raise their hand and they'd have a comment to make or give some feedback. But people are a little more reticent to do that in a Zoom meeting, to unmute themselves and say something.
Yeah.
So even though it's gotten easier, it's still a lot of one-way communication. And that to me is a little bothersome because, again, the engagement with our people is so important. And to be able to have a two-way engagement is the best and extremely valuable.
Do you have smaller Zoom type meetings?
Well, our office meetings, we're Google based, so we usually have Google Hangouts for our office meetings. And we're very fortunate at our company because we have an in-house attorney who is actually the broker of record for Guarantee Real Estate. And she does a weekly legal update for the entire company. And that's over 400 agents. And those are on Zoom because of the size of the group. Because of the size of the group.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's
right
been very valuable in terms of talking about Inform. She's been so valuable in informing our agents about legal updates.
I have a bonus question on that, a follow-up. When you reached out and you met your agents where they were, you called them up, one-on-one human connection. What did you get out of that? I mean, what was the outcome? Did they start coming to the Zoom meetings? Did they tell you certain challenges they were facing personally? I mean, what did you find out in that process?
Well, I think I found out that some of them just aren't that interested in a Zoom meeting, to tell you the truth.
It's
here's
not
the
for
thing.
everyone.
Well, here's the thing. We've got agents in our office who are in that new to 5-year category. But we've got a lot of agents who've been in the business over 20 years. And even though part of the outreach and encouragement has been to stay busy in your business as much as you can. And we talk to people about work on your database, contact your client base, reach out to people and see how they're doing, and encourage that. Those agents who've been in the business for 20 plus years, most of their business is already by referral. So they've been busy just with their own past clients where they haven't felt the need. They do come to the legal updates, but they don't necessarily come to many of the sales meetings. It's okay, but I'm constantly in touch with them anyway. For one thing, there's still deal doctoring going on.
Yeah.
on a pretty constant basis with new
Maybe
challenges.
even more some. Yeah, more
Oh
so.
yeah. Oh yeah. You know, tenants who won't allow access to the property even though the lease says you can. I mean, there are all kinds of challenges in this market that we didn't have before that require some sort of creative thinking from time to time.
Absolutely. And I know you're creative.
Oh,
Well, deal doctoring takes creativity. Absolutely.
well,
So,
or just experience sometimes, Sarah. You know, if
for
you've,
sure.
as long as I've been doing this, I mean, there's still new things under the sun always, but you know, a lot of times you sort of, I'm familiar with that scenario. Here's
Yeah.
what can work possibly. So that helps.
Awesome. What advice are you sharing with your agents over and over? What do you see that keeps popping up and is like in your face all the time, and what's been helping?
I think just having them, I think what's helping the most is having them remain engaged in their business.
Yeah.
And even not only in their real estate business, but in their personal business as well, in terms of reach out to your friends that you haven't talked to lately, see how they're doing, have a chat with them, share a joke with them. And a lot of times those friends are also clients in many, many cases. But I think that just continuing to say, you know, I've always believed that these laws of nature, a body in motion tends to remain in motion. A body at rest tends to remain at rest. So the one thing I've encouraged them not to do is curl up in a little ball and hibernate in their homes. There's too much out there to be done and too many new experiences to have in this market to do that. And fortunately, everybody that I can think of has been very responsive to that. And I'm very grateful for that, for them and for our company.
That's really beautiful. Was that a subliminal message to Leslie for not like retiring this year?
Yeah, Leslie.
I have a bonus question about a body at motion stays at motion. Like, you know, we're all working from home, and I know like, you know, sweatpants and yoga pants and sweatshirts have been kind of like, you know, loss leaders, or, you know, they've been doing very well in the garment industry the last few months because there's just the ability to just get dressed up from the waist up. And I know for me personally, I find that especially when we're, you know, when people have to look at me, I mean, I get all dressed and it kind of changes the whole thing. But I'm wondering if you have any other tips for kind of how to stay in motion when you're stuck at home, kind of.
Well, I tell you, I feel like I've worked harder since we started shelter in place than I did when I was at the office. And maybe it's because I'm glued to the computer more because everything's happening on the computer or on my phone. So I haven't had very much time to not stay in motion, to tell you the truth. But I am with you. See, today, see what I'm wearing? I had to dress up for this, you know?
Oh my God, you just made our day. Absolutely. Sandy, you're terrific. Well, I have a question. You know, one of my kind of hot buttons is communication. I know you've heard me talk many times about proactive listening and meeting people where they are. And I remember years ago, one of my original little jokes when we would go around talking about the internet versus traditional buyer survey. And we found that, you know, the faster an agent responded, the more likely they were to not only connect, but have a happy client. But some people wanted texting, some people wanted email, some people wanted phone calls. So my joke was, you know, when people get married, they should just ask their partner, you know, how often do you want to hear from me and in what format? You know, that would make for a very successful relationship. So
maybe we would have such high divorce rate.
Right. So I'm just wondering what your kind of tips are for effective communication, especially with 100 agents. I mean, talk about different strokes for different folks.
Well, sometimes, sometimes it's hard for me, but I have to keep in mind that I think the best communicator is oftentimes the best listener, because you can learn so much more by listening. You know, I keep remembering this thing that we have 2 ears, but one of these. So I think that hearing what our people and our clients are feeling and saying, it gives you a sense of understanding where they're coming from and how to engage with them and how to help them. So I'm feeling like that's the best communication device that there is. But I think you have to reach out in order to be able to listen to what people are saying. And that's why I think that in our case, talking on the phone to agents who are not otherwise engaging is so important, to be able to hear their voice, you can tell a lot about how somebody's feeling by the tone of their voice a lot of times.
Right.
And there are some people who've gotten depressed during this time, understandably, and to try to help pull them out of that is another something that's important to do. To remember that the glass is half full. It's not half empty, it's half full.
Right.
And it's just a difference in attitude, and I think it makes a huge difference. If you're feeling that way yourself and you're communicating that, you can hopefully have a little bit of that feeling rubbing off on somebody else.
You know, Sandy, one of the things that's challenging is, what channel do I use, right? You've got the phone, you've got email, you've got texting, you've got Slacking, you've got Twitter, you have all of these options. How do you sort through things? Do you pick the one thing that you're the most comfortable with and let her rip that way? Or do you kind of think about it depending on what your objective is?
Well, I kind of think that one of the advantages, for me at least, about what's been going on over these last number of months is the new tools that we've learned to use. And so I don't think there's any one size fits all at all. I like Google Hangouts. I've attended a lot of webinars, and I've attended a lot more trainings of different kinds than I ever did before, mainly because I've got a little more time to devote to that, but also because you need to get into those resources so that you're a resource, right? So, and I do think that having an array of ways of communicating and working with folks is important. I don't think there's any one answer.
No, that's right.
No, that's right. I couldn't agree more. And I tied into the conversation around communication. I think Deborah said in the chat, like, the one-on-one conversations are more important or equally as important as a Zoom connection, right? Like the meetings in Zoom or Google Hangouts or wherever you're doing it. And I agree with that 100%. I think one-on-one is key. So we have team meetings and we have one-on-one meetings. How do you keep track of it all? Like, how are you making sure that people aren't like dropping off your radar?
Well, it takes constant monitoring, really. I've got a roster I look at all the time and say, okay, now when was the last time I spoke to Jane or Joan? And if it hasn't been pretty recent, then I'm on the phone, because I can look there and I can certainly know. I mean, we've got a lot of people in our office, but I know them all. So I know who I've talked to and who I haven't, or who I've seen on a meeting and who hasn't been on a meeting.
Right.
And also tracking who's doing transactions. I mean, we've got a core of people who are really very busy with doing lots of transactions. So looking at who hasn't been doing any transactions is another way of saying, okay, why isn't that person out doing something, right? Something. Because there are a lot of ways that an agent can do outreach to their client base or to their geographic farm or through their group of friends. And so if they're not doing something, I need to get to that person and help them do something.
Right, time for an
Absolutely.
intervention.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And sometimes that's what they need, right?
Well,
they need
and
encouragement.
I think the biggest challenges with our new licensees,
Yeah.
because they can't go out and do the things that we are used to doing to help them get moving in the business. You know, one of the big things for them was to do open house, where they could meet people and talk to people and maybe pick up a buyer or maybe pick up a seller. And with not being able to do that right now, it is really keeping them engaged and keeping them moving forward in some way has probably been our biggest challenge as an office, as well as a company.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it in terms of kind of new members falling off. I mean, partly I think because in terms of the new members, it's 50% reduction, if not more, in people getting licensed, right? Because a lot of the centers have been shut down, but I would imagine it's just a lot harder to get started. But I have another question. One of the themes that has developed over the last couple of weeks, thanks to Janet Dorsey, has been the issue of office supplies. So I'm wondering how you stay organized. Is it all digital, Google Calendar and all that, or do you, like Janet, have a big giant 3-ring binder that gets highlighted? And I really understand the security of something like that, or a hybrid model. Like how do you do it? Because you've got a lot going on.
Well, for one thing, if I have something I want to be able to look at, I print it out. I'm one of these people. I have to have paper. I've got to read it.
Me too.
Yep, I got to read it. I got to read it to understand it and retain it. Yep. So fortunately, when I brought my office laptop home, the company also gave me a printer here at home, so I can print out things that I need. Now, calendar is an interesting thing. I have had a paper calendar forever. A great big, I like month at a glance because I like to see the whole month laid out in front of me. But ever since shelter in place, I have depended on my Google Calendar for everything. It all goes on there. And every morning, the first thing I do is look at my Google Calendar and say, okay, what meetings do I have today? And that is a new thing for me. But I've become very dependent now on that Google Calendar in my computer. And again, new challenges, new skills, new habits, right?
Right,
That's
and
right.
it's nice to have one platform where everything talks to each other. And I know Sarah and Deborah have dragged me kicking and screaming into Google Docs, and I'm finally getting it down here.
I do really
New
like
skills.
Google. I
do
really
too.
like Google. It's
collaboration.
It's pretty user friendly too, you know,
Yeah.
and for me, that's a good thing.
Absolutely. Don't tell our CTO, but all I work in is Google Docs. And when it's final, it can go over to our, internal thing. But when I'm working with somebody, it's Google Docs all the way.
It's the Sarah workaround. I just want to say one more thing, and I know I've told you this several times, Sandy, but I just think you have like the best name in the whole world.
Oh.
Like, who doesn't want to say, I'm Sandy Darling? Like, oh my God.
Thank you. I feel
when I first saw your name, it was like, is she a movie star?
Oh.
Sandy Darling.
Well, I feel like it's been a good real estate name for all these years, for sure.
Right. Well, it has for you. You've made it so.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's your screen name. So Sandy Darling, now I'm just going to say Sandy Darling no matter what. What about, so you shared a lot of advice today, and I think so many nuggets of wisdom. I think what would be helpful if you shared some tools or resources or advice for leaders who are struggling right now, who are not able to keep up with everything and check in with their agents and deal doctor as well as you. So what's the advice you would give to somebody who's struggling?
Well, I think just trying to keep a positive perspective is the best thing you can do, and to remember that this too will pass. I mean, it's a challenge for sure, but it is temporary, right? We don't know how temporary, but surely temporary. And so just to be able to say, okay, there's a light at the end of the tunnel and it is not an oncoming train, right? And I think that just trying to take a positive approach, even if you're struggling to be able to do some of these things, to get a mindset that you can and will, if not right this minute, then soon, right?
Absolutely.
Start moving, in other words.
Start moving, keep moving.
Do something.
Anything. And the other thing, is, I have found that finding something to laugh about has also been a great stress reliever during this time. Because let's face it, it is a stressful time for everybody. And we're all feeling the stress of it and worried about not catching this awful virus and not having any friends or family that catch this virus. And I mean, there have been some very funny, clever things that have come out across the internet that I've really enjoyed.
Right.
You know, little things like, because you're sitting at home, Siri, what's the weather like today? Siri, doesn't matter to you, you're not going anywhere anyway.
That's what Siri said to you?
Oh my God, Siri's got jokes, man. But I love that you added, first of all, the positive attitude is key, right? The power of positivity. But I love how you added a little levity, right? We could all use a little humor, a little levity. So post your latest memes in the comments because Sandy wants to see them.
That's right. Remember, I sent you both that list of the funniest things. The gal who said, I know we've been washing our hands for quite a while. Is it okay if we take a shower now? You know, with this hand washing business going on. I mean, it's just, it helps you put it back into some kind of perspective too, which I think we all need.
Absolutely.
Sandy, I want to just kind of sneak in one more kind of substantive question. Just, you mentioned 47 years. That's just such a rich lifetime in the kind of arc of this industry. What's next? What do you think we're going to be like, you know, a couple of years from now? What's kind of changing now that you think we're going to double down and do more of? How do you think this chapter kind of fits into the whole book that you've been living through?
Well, I really do think that it comes down to something that we've been talking about for some time anyway. And that is that I think that personal relationships in our business are going to be the most valuable thing. I know there are plenty of agents out there who are turning and burning deals like crazy, and that's fine for them. I think that's great. But I think that over time, in building a real estate career or continuing a real estate career, those personal relationships, those developed into really almost friendships with our clients, is going to be the key to the longevity of anybody in our business because of the referrals that come from that. I just 3 weeks ago had a client that I sold a home to 20 years ago that called me and said, okay, we're moving out of state. Please come sell our house. 20 years ago. But they became really good friends. We've talked occasionally over the last few years, but those are the things that I think going forward. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun, I don't think. I mean, there's always new skills or new tools, but I mean, I think the basics of real estate remain the basics. And I think your relationship with people and your ability to help them, your knowledge base of the contracts and the processes are what are going to be the most valuable to any realtor going forward. I really believe that.
That is so beautiful.
I believe it too. I love hearing that. That's just a great way to tie things up today.
And that also speaks to the heart of Sandy Darling as well. I do want to share a quote that you sent to Leslie and I, Sandy, and it was so beautiful, and I wanted to highlight it and then ask you about your thoughts on why you wrote it and why you sent it. So Sandy sent us this quote: "If you have a seat at the table, make room for someone who doesn't." She said, "I feel this applies to our entire WomanUP tribe." So Sandy, what do you want to share with the community right now? What prompted you to write that and really, share your heart?
Well, I have to say, I didn't come up with that. I actually ran across it in a sorority, my sorority's alumni magazine, in a leadership. It was a leadership article on leadership, and it just struck me so completely that I thought, I have to share this. This is something I believe. And I think it's because I've been so blessed over the last years with many opportunities to serve or to lead, and many opportunities to be recognized, that I feel like it's time for me to try to help others get there, to get a seat at the table. And I've been working on that at home. A little agent that I hired 8 or 9 years ago is now coming in next year as the president of our association. And it's that kind of thing that is a great source of pride for me. And you met my my cohort. I'm going to say my cohort in crime. There were 2 managers in my office, and Desiree Van Putten was the other manager. And I dragged her to the very first WomanUP meeting, and she's come ever since. And Desiree is now the CEO of our company.
Oh my God.
I hired her as a brand new agent, and she's president of the company. And I'm so proud of that and proud of her. So that's what I'm talking about, finding ways at this point in my life to bring other people along, to have a seat at the table.
We love you so much, Sandy. I mean, you
Sandy,
are
we love
just
you.
a beacon of what it's all about, really.
Well, thank you so much. You two, I just adore you both. You're so special to me.
The feeling is absolutely mutual.
Well, are we going to wrap this up now, girls?
We were just, basking in that beautiful moment. All right, you've heard it. How about Sandy? What's the best way for anybody of our listeners and people who are watching the replay to get in touch with you if they want to?
Oh, I'm happy to hear from anybody. My email is sdarling@guarantee.com. That's GUARANTEE.com, just like the word guarantee. And my phone number is 559-259-6050. Please reach out to me, text me, email me. I'm happy to engage with anybody that wants to be in touch.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
So
Sandy,
good to see you, Sandy.
Yes,
Good to see you, Leslie.
so much for joining us. And I do want to say that Pat Vealing, I can't forget this, Pat Vealing sent a direct message all of the firms in the Fresno area, and I am proud to say that Guarantee is in the top 5.
Oh, that's good to know.
So you are a true leader. Your brokerage is thriving, and we're just excited that you will be at WomanUP, and you were there from the beginning, and you're a huge supporter, and we love you. For everybody else, grab your virtual passes and head on over to IamWomanUp.com and stay tuned for the fabulous Fierce Friday special guest.
And don't forget that CAR Scholarship Foundation has scholarships for WomanUP. And
right.
So you can apply for a scholarship, which will include the swag bag. So make an application.
You don't want to
Thank
miss
you,
out on
Sandy.
that.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yes, the Scholarship Foundation has committed to sending 80 human beings to our virtual experience. So,
Right.
and she's right, it includes the swag. So thank you, Sandy. We'll post the link in the comments. And
Terrific.
hi, John. All right, everybody.
Photo bomb.
Goodbye. Stay safe,
Bye,
stay
everybody.
well.
Thanks for tuning
Bye.
in. Thank you, Sandy.
Don't leave, Sandy.
Oh, okay.
That was so beautiful. We're not, well, we will be, I stopped the live stream, so. But I just wanted to say thank you so much. And what we're gonna be doing with this is putting it into a blog post, your answers.
Oh, okay.
So if you have any, additional words of wisdom you wanna add to that, just send them to me and we'll add them and we'll put them in the blog.
I don't even really remember too much of what I already said, to tell you the truth.
Do you want me to resend it?
We've got notes.
We have notes. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for reminding me of the Education Foundation.
Sure.
You're right.
Well, we might as well encourage that.
Absolutely.
If somebody's been struggling a little bit, where they feel like they can't afford to buy the ticket, this is a way for them to be able to attend.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have to buy the ticket and then apply for the scholarship? I don't know how it works.
No,
You
you
can just
actually
apply.
now. You apply before you buy anything, and they're accepting applications through August 14th.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure of the time frame at all. So
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll put that in the comments as well.
Okay, great.
Sandy, you're amazing. Thank you so much.
You two are too much. You make it so easy. You make it so easy.
Well,
I love you both so much.
Love you
I
too.
gotcha. So good to see you both.
Mwah.
Good to see you.
All right.
Take care.
Right,
Love
take
you.
care. Bye.
Bye.